I got broads in Atlanta.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is Wednesday, and as always, every Wednesday I have a story time up for you guys. So this story time right here is crazy. But before I get started, I do want to mention, if you aren't subscribed already, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. Definitely like this video. I would love for you guys to just keep checking out more of my videos. So if you are interested in these type of videos, definitely hit the subscribe button, because every single Wednesday I will have a story time up. So I'm going to jump right into it because I know you guys are interested in hearing about it. The title is Exactly What Happened. And I know it sounds crazy. You're probably like, well, why didn't the murderer just murder you? And hell, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I'm just glad he didn't, but he robbed me instead, which is crazy. And the way he did it was actually pretty smart, because to this day, I do not even know his name or anything like that. I just know, maybe I could find out his name, but I just don't know. So this story happened in 2013, and I want to say around the end of 2012-ish, me and my husband and Sean had actually moved out of New Jersey. But what we would do is, well, me and Sean, what we would do during the summer, we would actually go up and visit my family for a few weeks while my husband was working. Now, when we were headed up there, my mom did mention to me that they were like doing over, I want to say it was like the kitchen, and I know it was my sister's bedroom. So they were doing over it, redecorating it, and like doing construction on it. Like my sister was doing her room completely over, and she wanted like this chandelier in her room. So they had like an electrician coming and all these different types of people, like construction people, working on their house. But the thing is with my family is they aren't the type to go and just hire a genuine construction company. They'd rather go with someone they know that they think is going to work well with them and give them a good deal, but at the same time someone they know like within the family, which most of the time screws them over. But you know, my dad swears he knows someone who is related to someone, and that way they're working with family. So basically the construction people that came to do this were, I want to say they were my dad's second cousins. They weren't his first, but they were like his second cousins, and they came to do my sister's room, the kitchen, different things like that. And when I was there, the very first few days they hadn't come yet. But it was like the fourth or third day I was there that my mom had told me that they were going to be here. So just like put your stuff up and have it in the side of the room, so that way they can work on my sister's area, because I was sharing the room with my sister while I was up there. So I remember I had like my suitcase and my purse and things like that, and I put it on the side of the room, and that's just basically where it was the whole day while they were working. And plus, you know, yes, I should have been more cautious about this because I did not know them. But to me, when I hear second cousin, I think of being related to me. You may not know me, but at the end of the day, like technically we're family, so I'm not thinking anything crazy is gonna happen. Basically, who had came were two of my dad's second cousins, and there was another guy. But me, I don't know any of them really, so I'm just thinking all three of them are related to my dad. So, you know, I'm not thinking anything of it. So most of the time when they were working on my sister's room, it was on the first floor. My sister lives on the first floor. I was upstairs on the second floor with my mom, you know, and my son, just hanging out up there while they were working on it. They were working on it all day. They did that. And I remember at one point I even went down, got something out of my purse because I needed to, I think it was like ordering food or whatever, but I got something out of my purse, put it back. I even said hi to all of them, went back upstairs, and everything was pretty cool, you know, everything was fine. Also, I wanted to mention, during this time I was in grad school, so I wasn't working. That's how I was able to come up for these like few weeks extended times with my son, because I wasn't working at all. So when you're in grad school, money is tight. Even though my husband was working, my money was still tight. Like, you know, our money was still tight, so we didn't want to, like, you know, spend a lot and things like that. I have a habit of always checking my account whenever, you know, I spend anything, or if I'm away. I just always have a habit of checking it every single day. I know I'm never gonna overdraft because I know the amount I have in there, but I still want to like make sure that I am keeping tabs with what's going on in my bank account. So the very next day that these construction people had came to the house, I went to check my bank account. There was over $700 missing from my account. And I'm like, well, I only brought one credit card with me. And I'm like, what the hell happened? All I did was spend like $12 on a pizza. How did $12 become $700? Like, I'm over here freaking out because I'm like, what happened? Also, I forgot to mention this. My dad had told me that, or somehow they mentioned it because they had a long drive to get to New Jersey. the construction people were from Pennsylvania. So they were talking about how they got up really early to come from Pennsylvania to New Jersey to help work on my dad's like house. So when I had looked on my bank account at the $700 that was missing, I want to say it was almost $550 was for Comcast. We didn't even have Comcast then. And I'm like, Comcast, like what the hell is going on? I didn't have any of that stuff. So I was confused as to how Comcast even got my credit card or any of that. And then on top of it, you will not even believe this crazy mess. On top of it, $150 was taken for a florist in Pennsylvania. And it was actually in Philly on top of that. Like I can go back to my account. I can even pull up my bank account right now and give you guys that exact florist. So the good thing with my bank account is when you buy anything from somewhere that may not be well known, like for instance a florist, they will give you the name of it as well as the number to contact them. So I was just automatically like, this is crazy because I'm in New Jersey, they're in Pennsylvania. I'm automatically, in the beginning at first I wasn't clicking like these people stole from me. Like I was just thinking, okay, someone obviously has my credit card information. Also, I forgot to mention inside of my purse that I kept in the room with my sister, which was stupid. Yes, I know. I had my bank cards. I had my driver's license. All of this was still inside of my wallet, inside of my purse the very next day. So I'm like, obviously something happened wrong on the bank's maybe like part, maybe they, I don't know what happened, but I'm like, I still have all my cards and everything here, so what's going on? So I first called my bank and I told my bank, you know, all of this money had been taken basically overnight, what was going on. Maybe they accidentally used my card when they meant to use someone else's card. And they basically told me for both of those charges, they were called in. So someone had called in over the phone for both of them, for Comcast as well as a florist, and that's how they were able to, you know, go through this process and take all this money out. They didn't even go into the store and do this. They went over the phone and did this. And then I remember my bank had asked me, they were like, well, did your husband do this? Is there anyone else who may have your cards, or is there anyone you know in Pennsylvania who could have done this? And at first I'm like, well, no, I don't know anyone who could have done this. And then it clicked to me. I'm like, I kept my purse in this room with these people, and obviously one of these three went into my bag and they had, you know, took my card information because they left my card. They were smart about leaving the card so that they weren't going to get caught automatically. But they took my card information. I guess they screenshotted it or whatever. And yeah, that's how they were able to do all this stuff. So basically my bank had told me that I had to call Comcast and I had to call the florist, talk to them about getting my money returned, and if that didn't work, then to call them back. So when I got off the phone with them, I automatically went to my dad because like he knows these people more than me, so he would know which of these three was like the one who did this. So when I went to my dad, I remember my mom was in the room, and my mom didn't even know this either, so she was really upset when she found this out. But I went to my dad and explained to him the entire situation, how much money was taken from me, and he was pretty upset too. And I think he was like, he knew that I was more upset because he didn't really tell everyone this whole situation part. But basically, the two guys who had came were his second cousins. He knew them really well. He even called his second cousins and told them this situation, and they were really upset about it. And they called the other guy because the other guy, my dad knew this, but failed to mention this to the rest of the family, even though we're all in the same house. So basically the third guy was a murderer who just recently got out of jail and needed a job, so my two second cousins were letting him work with him inside their construction company. I had a murderer inside of the house with me, and I didn't even know he was in there. Like, that pissed me off. That pissed my mom off. We were all upset at my dad. My dad is very like, he's like me. He's very nice. He likes to give second chances and things like that. But if you don't know the guy and he already murdered someone else, then why the hell is he up inside of our house? But, you know, you can't really explain this to my dad because that's just how my dad is. But to us, we were just, I was pissed because here's $700 of my money just gone like that. So now here's how I got or tried to get my money back. So first with Comcast, let me tell you something. Comcast is a bunch of crooks themselves. because I personally called them up, told them that I had on the my bank account, it gives you the confirmation number. I had the confirmation number. They would not return the money. They told me because I didn't know the first and last name on that bank account that they would not return my money. My money that was not even associated with this bank account. I guess this guy has been owing them so much, they didn't care who gave it to them, they just wanted their money. I actually have like 2 pages long of my conversation with them, and they're like, we understand you have the confirmation number, but we can't go into anyone's account unless you know their first and last name, which was total BS. So anyways, after that happened, I went down to Comcast personally. I went down to the Comcast building with my dad, gave them the whole thing, the same thing, confirmation number. I showed them what happened on, you know, the transcript I had from the people I was talking to as well. Same thing happened. They still would not give it to me. They still would not give me my money, and I'm telling you, it was over $500 they took out of my account. So what happened was, what I had to do with that, I called back my bank, told my bank what happened. My bank, I don't know if they believe me or not, because they're probably like, all you had to do was call the company and the company's gonna refund it. So they called Comcast with me on the line. My bank is on the phone trying to get back the money. They even tried to give them the confirmation number. Comcast still would not give them back my money. So what happened was, my bank just like got off the phone with them. They were still connected to me, and they were like, you know what, forget it. We're just gonna go through this electronically because they're not gonna give you back your money. So we're just gonna put like a stop on it or something like that, so that way I can get my $550 back from Comcast, whether they wanted it or not. So thankfully I got that part back. And then with the florist, I had actually called the florist up, explained the situation. It was like, I know it was a little old lady who answered, because she was like, I've had this business for over 50 years. My daughter was here that day. You know, I'm very upset over this whole situation. I can't believe this happened. She was like, I'm gonna go through all of our logs to see who did this, because we need to figure out where what they bought and what address it is and things like that, so I can give you all this information so you can go to the police with it. And I was just like, you know, thank you so much. You know, I was so happy. So I waited, like, I want to say it was like 2 days for her to contact me. She called me back and she was like, listen, I'm so sorry. My daughter was here that day, like I said, and she still wasn't able to find out the information of what they ordered or something like that. So she couldn't even give me all of this information. She couldn't even give me like the address. She couldn't find any of that. And it was really disappointing, because that would have been the key to know for sure that this guy had did it. Like, I know it wasn't the other two, but I just wanted that confirmation, you know? So it's not like I'm blaming someone, even though, I mean, come on, who else could have done that? Like Casper the Ghost? So with her, she actually personally called into the bank as well and let them know what had happened. And so they ended up returning my money as well. It was like $700, I want to say it was $750, over $700 basically, that was taken from me. And it took me about 2 weeks to actually receive it back for sure. But I was so upset with Comcast, like the fact that they weren't even budging. Like, my bank was on the phone with them, arguing with them, and I'm just listening to this whole thing, and they didn't even care. They weren't giving me back, or even my bank back, the money, just because we didn't even know the first and last name of the account, even though we had the confirmation number. So that's the craziest thing about it, knowing that there was a murderer inside the house. I didn't even know that he had freaking murdered someone. So yeah, he was inside of the house working, or supposedly working, but he was working on my bills. That's what he was doing, working on creating bills for me. And supposedly my dad's 2 cousins ended up firing him. They told him the situation. He obviously denied it. And, you know, they fired him anyway, and they supposedly have not worked with him again. So that is my crazy story time. I never actually got to confront the guy over it, and I don't think I would want to, being that he was a murderer. But yeah, so that's my crazy story time. That's all the money that was taken from me. Thankfully, I got it back. Thankfully, it was on a credit card instead of like bills, but I never carry bills anyway, so that's probably the reason why. But that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you have. And as always, I will see you guys next Wednesday for my next story time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.
We talk street art, sarcasm, crass humor and high fashion.